Chapter 8. Michael had been so busy thinking about his plan he almost forgot about the flyers he and Maya had put up. But when the phone rang during breakfast that morning, his heart began to race. Maybe it was someone calling about Otis. Michael was too nervous to listen to Mom's end of the phone call. What if someone adopted Otis that day? Then he'd never get to test his plan. That was not the call I expected, Mom said when she hung up the phone. Someone saw the flyer, Mia asked. Michael could tell she was already disappointed. Yes, Mom said. Pete. He wants to see Otis again before he goes to a new home. Michael's heart jumped. That's nice, Dad said as he closed the laptop on the kitchen counter. I know he felt bad that Otis wasn't a good match for him, but Michael stopped himself. He was pretty sure Otis and Pete were a perfect match after all, but he wasn't quite ready to tell his parents about his plan. He got up from the table and went to his room. Mia followed him. You have an idea, don't you? Mia asked. I can tell by the look in your eyes, she poked him. Come on, tell me. It's probably nothing, Michael said. He shoved a book into his backpack. Otis fell asleep in here last night. I had on some soft music and he came in and started purring, then he conked out. I thought Otis didn't like music, Mia said. That's what Pete said. But what if he's wrong? Maybe Otis was just scared because Pete's band practice was so loud. Maybe it's fine if it's just Pete and his guitar. Michael looked at his sister. She did not seem convinced. Maybe Pete doesn't want a kitten, Mia said. I don't think that's it. Michael shook his head. Pete didn't give Otis enough of a chance. I think they are meant for each other. If I'm right about Otis liking music, I'm going to test my theory out tonight. Michael motioned his head towards his iPod speakers. First, I have to be sure that soft music really does calm Otis down. Then maybe I can get Pete to change his mind about keeping him. The doorbell rang. I hope it works, Mia said. She shrugged and walked out. Michael put the rest of his school stuff in his backpack. When he got to the family room, he saw Pete was sitting on the couch. Otis laced himself around Pete's legs with a rumbly purr. This guy came back? The guy with the low voice? I'm glad he's here. He's good at petting. I want him to pet me right now. Otis took a big leap and landed in Pete's lap. Hi there, Otis, Pete said with a laugh as the kitten curled up cozily. You're looking good, little dude. He really likes you, Pete, Mom said. He doesn't jump on us like that. I really like him too, Pete said. He absent-mindedly scratched Otis's belly and the kitten rubbed his mouth against Pete's hand. But I just can't have a cat who doesn't like music. There's no way it would work out. Michael wondered if he should say something to Pete right now. Otis looked so happy. It was obviously they were good together. But it wouldn't be better if he waited until he was sure that Otis liked soft music. Mia nudged Michael and rushed out of the room. She came back with the family camera and snapped a shot of Otis and Pete. At the click, Pete seemed to remember something. Well, I gotta run. I just wanted to see Otis again, he said, and as he gently scooted Otis onto the couch. Thanks for letting me barge in Batelli's. Anytime, Pete, Dad said. Pete gave Michael a slap on the shoulder. See you in class, bud. After Pete left, the Batellis went back to their morning routines. Michael and Mia grabbed their lunches, patted Otis, and left for school with Dad. Is there anything you want to talk about? Dad asked as they crunched through the leaves on the sidewalk. Michael looked up at his father. How did he always know when Michael had something on his mind? Michael thinks Pete should adopt Otis, Mia said. Michael rolled his eyes. I think that's a great idea, Dad said, but Pete doesn't seem so sure. It wouldn't be right for us to force something to take a kitten. Pete has to really want Otis, or it isn't a good match for either of them. The three of them stopped in the school's steps. Don't worry, we'll find Otis a good home. Dad gave them each a hug, and Michael and Mia headed out into school. Michael thought about Otis all day between classes and during lunch. "What's going on?" Jackson asked as they sat down at their usual table in the cafeteria. "I didn't see you before school." Michael unwrapped his sandwich and stared at it. "Tuna on rye? Not my favorite. I was late." Peter came by to see Otis again. He had already told Jackson all about Otis and how he thought Pete and the cat were perfect for each other. "Great! So he's taking him." Jackson pulled 2 oatmeal raisin cookies out of his bag and handed one to Michael. Michael bit into the cookie and shook his head. "Not so far," he said, "but I'm still working on it." That night, Michael checked to see if Otis was still sleeping on the bed of blankets by the couch. The kitten was curled up, his chin resting on his front paws. He sure was cute when he was sleeping. Michael went to his room to set up his iPod. He programmed the playlist to repeat all night. Next, he checked his calendar. He had guitar lessons the next day. If all went according to the plan, he'd have good news for Pete. When the door opened, Michael thought it was Otis pushing his way into Michael's room, but it was Dad. "Hey, buddy," he said, "ready for bed?" "Almost," Michael said. He moved the dirty jersey Otis had slept on the night before, putting it closer to the speakers. "Shouldn't that shirt be in the laundry hamper?" Dad asked. Michael glanced up at Dad. "Otis is practicing a new trick," he said. Dad raised his eyebrows. "He's going to lie down here and sleep through the night?" Michael gave the shirt a pat. "Oh, yeah," Dad asked. "No yowling at the moon. No yowling at the moon." "I believe it was when I don't hear it," Dad said. He walked over to give Michael a goodnight kiss. "Leave the door open a little," Michael said. And Dad turned off the light. Michael nestled under his favorite NBA blanket and waited. It wasn't long before he heard a familiar yowl. A minute later, he heard another yowl, closer now. He opened his eyes to see Otis kneading the shirt with his paws, then settling and curling up, nose to tail. "Oh, good. It's just right in here. I like this music. And this shirt is really comfy. Now I can get some rest. I think I'll stay right here next to the boy all night." "Night, Otis." Michael could hear the cat's rumbling purr. "Sleep well. Please, please sleep well."